So back to the medium's book. We're still in part 2, chapter 6. Today we started last week. I just read the very first paragraph of the theoretical essay of apparitions. Not as exciting as the first part, the topic of God, and somewhat repetitive because it's an essay of things that you had already seen. And I think we're just going to read 101 because it gives a very good foundation for everything that we're going to see here. But you're not going to discuss. But of course, anyone has any questions, we are open to try to answer.
Okay. Okay. Theoretical essay on apparition. The most common manifestations of apparitions occur in dreams during sleep. These are visions. We cannot here examine all the particularities that dreams can present, but we will sum them up by stating what they may be: an actual vision of present or absent things, a retrospective vision of the past, in certain exceptional cases, a presentiment of the future. Frequently, there are also allegorical images that good spirits present to us as useful warnings or beneficial advice. If they are imperfect spirits, they may use them to mislead us and encourage our passions. The theory that follows below is applicable to dreams in all of the cases of apparitions. We shall not offend our readers' common sense if we refute the absurd and foolish notions of what is entailed in popular dream interpretation.
Okay, just as a comment, keep in mind all those possibilities that dreams may be to us, as Kardec present over here. And also, if anyone is interested, I was going to use some of it. I choose not to anticipate the book. But if anyone is really curious about dreams, questions 400 and 401 and 1 in the Spirit's book and 403. I went there today and I look at it. It's very good. It will a lot further explain everything that is said here. You really complement this part of the Minos book if anyone is really interested in dreams. And one more common apparitions over here is just, maybe I'm wrong, but every time that I hear, that I read the word apparitions, for some reason, I personally connect with physical effect. I hope I'm the only one, and it's my problem. But I want to make clarify that apparitions here is not associated with a physical effect. It's not associated with ectoplasm, anything like that. Okay, it's just vision. These are visions, as Kardec put it here. Okay,
Okay.
and the visions may be uh, dreams. It may be mediumistic. It may not be mediumistic. Okay, as you had seen it before.
Okay.
102, please.
Okay. Apparitions may per se occur during the awakening state, when the individual is in full enjoyment and has a complete freedom of his or her faculties. They generally appear in a vaporous and diaphanous form that is sometimes vague and indistinct. When they first appear, they are almost always a whitish light whose contours gradually become more definite. At other times, their forms are clearly accentuated and diminutive traces of the face can be distinguished to such a degree that it can be precisely described. Their appearance and other characteristics are similar to those of the spirit when it was incarnate. Since the spirit can assume any appearance, it presents itself with the one by which it can best be identified. If that is what it wants, Thus, even though it has no actual corporeal handicap as a spirit, it may appear to be named, lame, hum, wounded, or scarred if that is what is needed to identify it. For example, is not deformed as a spirit, but if we would evoke him, he would appear ugly and humpbacked, wearing his traditional garb, no matter how many lives he has lived in the meantime. One particularity worth noting is that, except in special circumstances, the least precise components of an apparition are the lower limbs, while the head, torso, arms, and hands appear clearly. Hence, we almost never see them walk. They glide like shadows. As for their garments, they are usually comprised of a sort of drapery that ends in long floating folds. Spirits who have retained nothing of their earthly life appear with floating and graceful hair, but the ordinary spirits of individuals with whom we are familiar usually dress as they did during the final days of their existence. Quite often they
Okay,
display.
thanks.
Okay.
That was a bit too much for you. Okay, so in this light, Kardec shows how the spirits may appear to us by choice or just by the natural way that it would be present to us. Okay? First of all, the we may feel the presence of a spirit and see something amorphic, so to say, vaporous, ill-defined, as it says over here, vaporous and diaphanous, which means translucent, or it can come in with incredible degree of definition, as you can absolutely see the perispirit very well defined. Face, eyes, hair, color of hair, um, clothes, having a hat or not having a hat. So in some of the visions, the spirits appear. There is, in a way, that is almost hard to say if it's an incarnate or discarnate. So well defined it is, and sometimes it's so vaporous. What will make different that differentiations? I believe there is a it's multifactorial. If it's a mediumistic thing, the education of the medium, the quality of the environment where this spirit is choosing to present itself, the amount of light present in that ambient. Remember, the white light is very detrimental to things of spiritual nature. So it is multifactorial. Could be that that's how the spirit chooses. Perhaps since the spirit having the know-how has control of how it's going to appear, it may be a choice of the spirit. Why? I don't know.
Mm.
Okay, but I won't put one single reason why that would be. It's because the medium is not well trained. That'll be one of them. Is that the sole reason? We could not say that. I think we go from physical causes. As I said, even the amount of light in that environment may disrupt the ability of the spirit to define itself a little bit more. Okay. um, Many other things. So there is a very large range of definition. It may be just a little vapory thing with ill-defined faces, something like that, to complete, well-defined human-like body. Okay.
Mm.
Since the spirit can assume any appearance, and yes, since a spirit can assume any appearance, depend on two things: one, know-how, and two, have permission to, because you just read a couple of weeks ago that there is a limit to everything, right? That a spirit will not be kind of allowed to present to us with some different appearances. There is a limit to everything. It's not going to be allowed to present to us looking like someone that we love, like our grandma that we love absolutely. They know that she loves us absolutely, and coming in, someone comes in dressed and pretend to be our grandma to create problem in our relationships between ours and our grandmas. There is a limitation to everything. So yes, the spirit can assume an appearance. It depends on two factors. The know-how, the spirit has the ability, know that it can do it. Most of us will end up the spirit will not even know they are able to do such a things, and to have a permission to do so. A spirit will present to us in a way that it can be recognized by us as such. Meaning that if I discarnate today and next week I decide to pay a prank on all of you and show myself, if I don't show myself the way I look right now, if I show myself as a blonde woman with blue eyes and something, you make no, you say no, that's not Elmo.
Right.
So if I wanted to make myself present and tell you that it's me, I should present the way that I look like, the way you'd recognize me, the way that you have understand me, my appearances. If your grandma wants to show herself to any one of us, my grandma wants to show to me, she cannot look like when she to me when she was 15 years old. She likely present me when she was in her 60s, 70s. Then that's the idea. That's my identity of understand what my grandma is. And the spirits you do that. Um, Artificially, meaning they have the know-how and they will show themselves in the way that they can be recognized, or naturally, the natural way that when my grandma connects mentally with me, you know, she will naturally present herself as my grandma and not a 15 years old girl,
Mm.
right? I find interesting here in this passage here is the ability of the spirit perispirit to recall the forms of previous reincarnations. So let's think, let's say, I don't know, St. Francis. For us, we have an image of how St. Francis was. If right or wrong, I don't know, but have pictures of St. Francis. It's pretty much always the same with that little hair, with the little hair falling on the forehead, with a well-rounded face, with dressed with the Franciscan traditional way of dressing. We should imagine that St. Francis had other reincarnations after that. The spirit of St. Francis played the role of St. Francis, had other reincarnations after that. If St. Francis decides to, the spirit that played the role of St. Francis, decide to come and show itself to us and present themselves as St. Francis, you'd have to recall that shape, that form that we identify St. Francis with. And that to me is very interesting. It's like right now I'm playing the role of Elmo. I spirit playing the role of Elmo. But I have let's assume that six reincarnations ago I was an Indian in I don't know in the Himalayas. Okay, a civilian in the Himalayas. If I'm going to present myself on that reincarnation, I will have the ability to recall my physical appearance of that reincarnation and present myself as such. To me, that's very fascinating because that is stated over here. The spirit has the ability to do that. Now, I don't know if that's a required know-how, if something the perispirit has it in its memory file, so to say, okay? And I don't know if it requires a greater know-how to be able to do it, to retrieve those information from the past. That I don't know. Okay? Question, comments?
Yeah,
Yep.
um, so, so I'm not sure if it's important or not. I'm just curious. Um, in case of mediums, they are, when they are seeing spirits. Uh, so, what's the difference when they are seeing, when the spirits is showing him or herself to the medium, from when the medium is seeing whatever thoughts the spirit, is showing to the medium? Because I mean, when it's like a story going on, it's pretty much you kind of figure out that there's a thought that the spirit sharing with you. But when there's just the image of the spirit self, how can one tell one from the other?
I do not understand the question, and I don't know if I have the answer.
Let's say, a medium is seeing images. Let's call image. Let's not call it spirits. Let's an image of um, a person, right? And he see the person, right there, but it's not that he's seeing the spirit. This is he's seeing the image. That's something that happened in the past while he's doing his work,
But you
and
are
then
seeing it.
yeah, you're seeing. We are
You
in
you
a
are not
trance.
receiving you are not receiving the thought and creating the image based on the thought.
I don't know. I don't know
Okay,
how that happened.
that's
I'm
yeah.
I'm just go as far as seeing it. So he's seeing the image, and you can see the house, you can see whatever is surrounding, and you see a person, whatever it is, that as a spirit. And then also there's the other side when you actually see a spirit that comes to deliver a message or do something else. So there is a difference between, I think, the
Yeah,
spirit
there is.
showing him or herself for the medium, and he's seeing something that happened in the past, because it's hard to tell which one is which. That's why I'm asking if is there any difference, and then if it's important or not.
Well, I think there is a difference if the spirits are showing you, so you can see with the eyes of the soul, it can see with your perispirit ability of seeing. You are seeing what's being presented to you. It's different than the spirit is presented to you, narrating an episode of the past, and you create the vision secondary to the narration. If someone comes to me and tell them the story of when they went fishing in the Amazon basin and they were in that small tributary of the Amazon fish, I created the image in my mind. I can visualize that small tributary of the Amazon River and something else. But that's one different thing. Then they come to me, they show pictures of that scenario. It's two different things. So if you're seeing, you are seeing. They are presented to you. They may present that fact that thing that happened in the past or that is happening in the present. That they present you. That you are seeing it. You are not visualizing with your mind a narration. It's two different things. Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah, because we were studying here that sometimes they're gonna show you with a vapors aspect, or sometimes with so much details. And I don't know. I'm not sure if it was you or Joan that mentioned before that what you are seeing are the last impression or the thoughts of the spirit when something happened. And I was just wondering if is there any difference between only the spirit, when the medium sees only the spirit, or when you are seeing like a story that unfolds, even though it's the spirit that's showing to you. That's what I was trying to figure out.
Okay, I think there's three possibilities here. One, and I'm talking about the serious mediumship meetings like the ones that we have in, and I'm sure that your question related to what you are experiencing. Okay, be very straightforward here. So I think there's three possibilities here. One, you are creating the image according to the narration, according to the spirit is telling you, according to the spirit is feeling. Two, the spirit is really bringing to you those images. Or three, and more likely, the spiritual benefactors, the responsible for the work, are presented to you those pictures so you can better understand, so you can better associate with that spirit.
Okay, now
They are bringing you to that moment where that spirit is having that problem, that are bringing you to that scenario where the spirit lives, so you can really grasp the whole thing.
yeah, that makes sense, because I was reading on the domain of the mediumship that the benefactor assigned to the medium, let's put it that way, it helps, besides all the other works, it helps him or her to do whatever works needs to be done. So it goes with what you say, that the mentor showing, so the medium can better do whatever job is performing at that time.
Yeah, and I think in like the kind of work that we do in a serious meeting, again, the kind of work that we do, most likely the mentors of the house will create those images for us, or will bring you to visualize the things that are necessary for you as a medium to visualize.
Mm.
It's the same when the counselors receive thoughts to say or go with the conversation a certain way in order to help the spirit, right? Same thing.
Um,
But not
Personally,
not
mine is,
visual, not visual.
yeah, mine
But
is the vision, yes.
yeah.
Yeah, because personally, for me, there is absolutely no vision. I don't know if for Ron is different.
Thank you.
Oh, I don't see anything else.
It's too blind.
Yeah.
It's too
Yeah,
blind.
Karen, yes.
Elmo,
Yes.
or John. Yeah, I'm kind of wondering, is there a differentiation between transfiguration and apparition? Like if one were just in, a spirit circle or a Monday night meeting, would you say that those words are similar or very different?
Well, what's the meaning of transfiguration? Transfiguration means to present in a different form, to transfigure.
Well, I mean, a couple of times I've seen an actual, like looking at a medium and seeing a complete person or complete form shift. The medium to me is no longer that same individual that I would know during the daylight hours, let's say. So, a complete shift. So I don't know if that's an apparition or if it's just what you would say transfiguration.
Does it happen when the medium is given a communication or throughout the meeting?
Sometimes during a communication, pretty much that, I think.
I really don't have an answer. I don't know how that happens. How do you see the mediums with a different shape? The mediums we're talking about.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
no.
there's completely like an individual almost walks in front of them and appears completely different than the individual that I would know during the daylight hours as the medium. And it's very, very visual, actually.
Can I say something? I have seen one time a medium that was receiving a communication that the spirit was very strong and powerful, and it was it changed the person's physiognomy. Her eyes changed. It's not that it's not that that she changed. I think the power of that spirit was so strong to that particular medium in that particular place that made it her to essentially, for lack of a better word, really literally incorporated for most part of her being this spirit. So, but I've seen it once, and I don't know if it has something to do what you're talking about.
I don't know. I really don't know. And I'm questioning here if these visions that you mentioned, this vision that Carrie's mentioned, is in a state of trance in which they are seeing something with the eyes of the soul, so to say, the perispiritual eyes, and not with the physical eyes, because in the same meetings that we are there, I never see anything like that. So it's something that perhaps you in a state of altered state of consciousness, and some kind of trance, in a deep concentration in the work, are able to be in that trance that and see with the spiritual eyes, so to say, not with the physical eyes. Because otherwise everybody would have the same vision. I never see any differentiation of the mediums.
That's true. I forgot to add that, I'm a medium, so of course
Yes.
I see more than the stuff that is human is, as you know, that's a
Yes.
different story.
But
Yeah.
I don't. The answer for you, Kelly, is unfortunately I really don't know.
Oh, well, that's okay. I was just curious. It's happened a couple of times. I'm not a medium, but at that point when I mean, for me, it was a big shift. I go, it's very interesting. I saw it. So anyway, thank you.
May I add something? I reading one of Kardec's books. He does mention that there is a possibility of changing the shape of that medium, or their weight, or their size. I don't recall exactly which of his books, but he does mention about that kind of change while the medium is incorporated or channeled.
Yeah, again, how to be completely honest, I don't know, but if was something that the mediums really changes, everybody would be able to see it. Since it's only one or two, I have to imagine that those who see, and it's some kind of trance, mediumistic or otherwise. Anybody, Ron, you have any comments on that?
No, nothing to add here, I think.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that is very interesting. I'll see if I find an answer.
Continue on.
Yes, please.
Okay. Quite often, they display attributes that are characteristics of their elevation, such as a halo or wings, leading them to be regarded as angels. Others carry symbols that remind us of their earthly activities. A warrior might wear an armor, a scholar with books, an assassin with a dagger, and so on. Highly evolved spirits display a beautiful, noble, and serene figure, whereas the least evolved ones have something ferocious, visto about them, sometimes still bearing vestiges of the crimes they committed or the tortures they suffered. Necessity is perhaps the most intriguing. We shall return to discuss this in a special chapter because it is connected with other very important issues.
Thanks. So let's imagine that we're gonna move to another different part of the planet, right? Let's say we're gonna move to, I don't know, to live to the tip of the Himalayas, to live with the people over there. We're gonna bring our clothes. We're gonna bring what we wear, what we kind of like and identify ourselves. But eventually, those clothes gonna worn out. Perhaps gonna gain weight or lose weight. They're not gonna fit us anymore, and we're gonna have to acquire clothes in that part of the world, and you're gonna have to buy you what's available there, which may be completely different from what you are used to. But you keep what you have, what identifies you as you for as long as you can. So living the spiritual world, leaving this physical body, going back to the spiritual world is pretty much the same, right? In terms of garments, we will try to keep the garments that we are familiar with, but eventually as we evolve, as you progress, let's assume that in the spiritual world we elevate ourselves to the point that we give very little importance to garments, to appearance, and we will have model that just like the long white cloth that very often, I say cloth because I don't have any other word to use, that is more particular with the more elevated spirits, and you just you just wear what's there, and things that pertain to the spiritual world with less regards to your identity according to the previous reincarnation. So eventually, all of us will, if you spend enough time in the spiritual world, will care less and less and less for the kind of garments and things that are associated with our previous incarnation, because you spend enough time there that we lose the interest for those things. But what's saying over here that we are what we are. Okay, the more elevated the spirits were, to have a very, very ethereal perispirit, are extremely luminous. And when they show up, they show with appearance the so-called the angels, because they have all those lights coming out from them that makes an appearance of a halo or wings. The criminals who spend their lives here, let's say, with a machete, no creating crimes out there, we'll go back to the spiritual world and have that the same appearance. They may even appear themselves as machete hands, a bloody machete hands, as we saw in the spirits in the book Heaven and Hell, cases that is exemplified that's very clearly, because that's our self-identity. That's how we identify ourselves. As we saw, was that for Sunday, the individual who only thought of wealth, put their hands on a fill their hands with mud and things they're carrying gold, because that's their identity. They see themselves as that someone who only seeks of material gains. So the criminals that committed the crimes, they identify themselves as such, and they will appear as such, because that's in reality, that's what they are according to their own conscience. In other words, we are what we are. We can't really fool ourselves. So you present as the way we are. Having said that, of course, having the know-how and have the permission, the spirits will change the appearance of the perispirit temporarily, again temporarily, but eventually they will be what they are. The same way that we have a human shape like perispirit, and having the know-how and permission, we may show ourselves in a different shape, or no, a white horse, an eagle, or anything like that. But we shall return to our normal state, which is a human-like form. Okay, comments?
So Elmo, those I don't even know how to call it. For the more morally evolved spirits that you say that dress with the whatever you call the dress code they have. For example, for let's call us spiritists. When we got the other side, I'm not saying that we are going to be able to apply everything, but we at least going to have a knowledge that the whatever we are wearing, is something that we feel comfortable. But at the same time, we want to fit in on the environment that we will be working with. So, would us be able to be like them, to use that to shape our perispirit, to dress code, let's put that way, like them, or that has to come with a certain morally path before we can do that?
We will fit in because we will go where our conscience takes us. So we will be in a community where you have common level of involvement. So we will fit in, right? And again, once you live over here, we have the things that identify us. Our identity is very important. We know that we are, as spirits, we don't have a gender. We don't have man and a woman, male and female. But I bet all of us go back to the spiritual world. We have an identity as being male or female, being man or woman. And man and a woman in our mind dress this way or dress that way. We'll keep all that. It's like we're not going to transform something completely different. We're not going to be able to end up with the spiritual say, oh, now I'm Mysterious Spirit. I no longer have a gender. I no longer have to use clothes that identifies with my gender. No, nothing like that. That is a big, unless one of us is a much known like Paco, a much elevated spirit, we are all on a mission, and you'll be able to go back and be translucent. But most of us will be pretty much the same.
Because I was thinking, for example, here, when you wanna, you're trying to be the best you can. Usually, you're gonna, put suit and tie and everything to look your best.
You're gonna look like João.
Yeah, when you try to look like João, you put a suit and tie. You don't have that charm. We don't have that charm. He has the charisma. We don't have that. Yeah. So I was wondering, because when we got the other side, I think we are aspiring to be like them. So it's only natural to try to look like them, even though we know that means nothing. Appearance means nothing. But I was wondering if we will reshape our perispirit like those robes, let's call robe for lack of a better word, that they have, just to fit in again. But anyway, it's not important.
Likely not. Likely we're not going to transform ourselves in something else. What we be, what we are. We are being communities with those who are like us. And hopefully it will be better, but pretty much the same. And the interesting thing is that what the more evolved spirit does is the opposite, is to undress themselves more and more so that their light can shine to us.
Yeah, hopefully I don't get there in flip-flops and Bermudas.
Remember Andrea Luis and the mentor going through the lower zones in the messengers when at a certain point the mentor tell Andrea Luis to dim the light, so not to disturb the spirits present there, right? So that's the more likely scenario.
Thank you.
Okay, continue, Alma.
Yes, please.
We have stated that apparitions have something vaporous about them. In some cases, we could compare them to the image reflected in an uncivil mirror, where despite its clearness, we may also see objects that are behind the mirror. This is how seen mediums usually perceive them. They see them come and go, enter a room or leave, circulate amongst a crowd of living persons, at least when it comes to ordinary spirits who take an interest in everything, listen to everything that is said, and take an active part in all that goes on around them. Good spirits are often seen to approach individuals in order to whisper ideas to them, to influence and comfort them, while evil spirits do so in order to mock them and to show disappointment or satisfaction at the results. In other words, spirits are the counterpart of the corporeal world.
Thanks.
Okay.
Again, there is a very large range of definition now in terms of appearance, how spirits will appear. I think for a medium, not even a medium, clairvoyant, who are able to see spirits in a less defined form, is actually an advantage, because it can differentiate what is spirit, what is discarnate, what is incarnate. Chico Xavier, at one point of his life, he was having this difficulty to separate incarnate from discarnate. There's some stories of him having conversation with 3 or 4 people in a room, when in reality there is just 1 or 2 incarnate. And he could not even differentiate them anymore, for the degree of his ability to be in the spiritual world at the same time as in the physical world. So if the spirit has this kind of a translucent appearance, like say the mirror in the unshivered mirror, like as a huge example here, and a clairvoyant or a medium, you see that spirit going in and out of a room, crossing the walls without using the doors, and it actually facilitates for that person to differentiate what is a spirit, what's not a spirit. Again, more elevated spirit will have a differential appearance of less evolved spirit and really brute, ignorant spirit. There will be different differentiation. And the seeing spirit will be able to identify visually when is a more elevated spirit who appears to give advices to us, so to say, and more ignorant brute spirit who come in to disturb us, to frighten us, to lead us to our vices and things like that. Yeah, that's it that I have in there.
A medium that only sees, quote unquote, spirits or spiritual world on, for example, when him or her is working on a proper environment, and don't see at all after that place, besides lucky, is there any difference between the one that sees, I'm not saying all the time, but you know, it's able to see in different places other than the workplace?
Well, yeah, there is difference. Let's say a clairvoyant, even will, some will, most will not classify as a medium, because a medium by definition is an intermediary, but it is an intermediary between the two planes of existence, and a clairvoyant in generally just sees. It does not act as an intermediary, does not connect the physical and the spiritual. It just sees what's there. So most books will say a clairvoyant is not a medium, that it has this ability to see with the eyes of the soul, but does not function as a medium, therefore they do not put it as a medium. And there are mediums who are mediums and clairvoyant. And there are mediums that are only mediums, and they will only see in a mediumistic trance. So in a mediumship meeting, in a mediumistic trance, that medium will see things. Outside of that state of trance, they do not see anything. That pretty much differentiates a clairvoyant from a seeing medium, but a seeing medium may be also clairvoyant. Is it clear?
I got a little confused in the end, but I'll figure it out.
Well, let's say a clairvoyant is a person who has somehow that physical disposition that allows them to see spirits.
Yeah.
Okay? They do not act as a medium because they do not act as an intermediary. Okay, so you don't call them medium. And because they don't have to be in a mediumistic trance, so to say, to have this ability. Now you have seeing medium in a state of trance. They are able to see the spirits, mediumistic trance. The mediumistic trance may be extremely deep, it may be extremely light, but it's still a trance. Okay? Now, a seeing medium that will, in a state of trance, see medium, see spirits, may also be a clairvoyant, may also have the faculty of clairvoyance. The same way that a medium of psychophony may also have the ability of psychography. May also have the ability of the attribute of seeing mediums. You understand now?
Yeah, I was just wondering if the fact that the seeing part only on the proper environment is an early sign, and it will develop into something else when that particular medium will see in different places, or if it's just that tool assigned to that particular work. That's what I was wondering.
It may or may not.
So Elmo, so essentially what you described, I think we talked about this already. I have pretty much everything that you said, except of the seeing spirits. Like I described it to you, my sister does. And she is much more a clairvoyant than a medium because she doesn't practice her mediumship anymore and anywhere, but she continues to see spirits. But yeah, going back to what you said and to what Renato was asking, before I started frequenting the center, I've been a medium my whole life, and I practiced mediumship in other places. But before I got to the center, it almost like it taught me how to channel or to choose better speakers, again, for a better word, because it's like probably what you're going through. You fine-tuning ways of you to discern what is that's going on, and going back to what they always say, it's the nature of the message that at the end is, and that it's going to be the valid point. I don't know if it helped you, Renata, but that's what I had to say.
We had in our fraternal assistance, you have had cases of individuals who come and it tells us that have those symptoms of mediumship, being seen, being by hearing, and once they start to educate themselves, understand what's going on, those things disappears. And then we had seen mediums who comes to us because now they will have the symptoms of mediumship that once we educate start to work, able to use the mediumship in the right environment, and then be able to close up that window to the spiritual world outside of the proper environment also. So what I try to say that it is possible that our spiritual guides, the divine providence, gives us those flashes, those symptoms of our mediumship, so you can seek assistance, so you can seek to educate this potential that we have to use it properly.
Thank you. Yeah, that cleared out everything. Thanks.
Yeah, but the fact that the one medium is right now just having a limited part of that function, it may expand in the future or may not. That is up to the future. Okay, we have a little bit more.
Thus is that secret world surrounding us, in the midst of which we live without even suspecting it, just as we live among the mirrored beams of the microscopic world. The microscopic has revealed the infinitely tiny world, which we never suspected to exist. Spiritism, with the help of seeing mediums, has revealed the spirit world to us, which is also one of the active forces of nature. With the aid of such seeing mediums, we have been able to study the invisible world and to be initiated into its customs in the same way that a culture of blind individuals will be able to study the visible world with the help of sight persons.
Okay. I think what Kardec's telling us is that the same way that we have a microscopic world that was completely alien to us until the discovery of the microscope, until Pasteur gave us the favor and showed those little things to us, we have been surrounded by microorganisms of all sorts, never aware of it. And now that you are aware of it, we know that we are surrounded by microorganisms and we still don't see them. You still don't pay attention to it, but we know that not only they exist, but that they play a tremendous important role in our lives. In other words, no microorganisms, no human beings. We are dependent on those little things that we do not see. Okay? So it is the spiritual world. The same way that the microscope revealed the world of microscopy, the spiritualism reveals the world of the spirits. The science that deals to revealing that to us. And we live our lives, and we have to, otherwise we're going to go crazy, not really paying much attention to it, but we know that they also play a tremendous role in our lives. We are constantly being bombarded by spiritual energies, thoughts, guidance, advices by our guardian angels, protecting spirits, loved ones, by our obsessors try to deviate us from the path that we choose constantly. Some are able to see those. For those who are able to see those, if they do not educate themselves, it might be a very tragic, very difficult existence. Can you imagine if we could see all the spirits around us? The ones who try to help us, the ones who try to deviate us. I cannot even start to think about it. It would be a complete nightmare. And the same way, if we start to be so preoccupied, let's say, with the microscopes, we're going to go crazy. If we get that so preoccupied with the spirits around us, we're going to go crazy also.
Yeah.
It is the world that we live in, full of microbes that are extremely important for us. Some cause disease, but 99% are absolutely essential for us. So it is with the spiritual world. There's lots of spirits around us. Some may not want what's best for us, but at the same time, there are many who want what's best for us. We make choice who you're going to listen to. It's 2 minutes left, and I'm going to continue to the next one. Any comments? Any questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
How to know the difference with, in a dream, if it is a message, if it is a spiritual guidance or not?
You can use Socrates if it's true, if it's useful, if it's good, and if it's useful. It's probably come from a good spirit who wants what's good for you. Now, the ability to analyze and decide if it's true, if it's good, if it's useful, that becomes personal. It varies a lot, because if I'm a cocaine abuser and I really wants to get a fix, good for me would be someone who would lead me to get that cocaine. So it's very personal. But if it's good, if it's true, if it's good, and if it's useful, it's coming from a good spirit who wants what's good for us.
Is it possible, do you believe that it's possible that, say, it's not the best picture, but is to see the whole picture and put your life in perspective, where here's why you have this life right now, so you can amend what was in the past in your past life. Here you're seeing your past life, what you have done, what happened. Now you have the chance of your life, of your spirit is having the chance to say upgrade, to do it right now. So then there is, there is a picture, a full picture of a past life, so you can make amends now in this life. You believe that's
The
possible?
question if it's possible.
Yeah,
As I
because
say, I don't think few things that I think it's impossible. The question that I put, if it's good, if it's useful, would I be able to deal with my past? Would it be good for me? Would it cause me more harm than good? You would be useful. Will you be able to use it as an instrument to propel us forward, would put me in a state of complete terror of myself. It's difficult. I don't think it's a good idea. I think the veil of forgetfulness is a blessing that it should stick to it.
Oh, I believe so too. Just by what I what I believe. So I truly believe that is a blessing to
but
forget our past.
but small flashes of the past, I believe we go through that in our dreams, as we just read here in the beginning of this thing. Small little flashes of our past comes from time to time to help us, but not the whole picture. Little tiny things can be useful.
Yeah, I have the hope. I had the whole picture the last couple of nights. So
Ah,
it's kind of one following in the other. It's quite of something that it's interesting that we are talking about right now about this, and maybe that's why I joined. Is because it's something that maybe I just have to learn about that. And, I mean, I take in a good way because I don't believe that nowadays the way I am going through my life, I believe that I'm going through this in order to better myself and in every aspect of my life. It's just a learning curve that I have to go through in order to better myself spiritually, have a progress spiritually. So I'm taking as a good message, even though it's not, it's not something that we want to learn about our past lives.
Yeah, one thing I'd be very careful is something that Jean touched the last time that he spoke of dreams. We must be very careful with the analysis of our dreams. It may represent many different things. And I would suggest to read question 400, 401 on dreams, and I think it'll be helpful to you.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Sure. We went over. Someone make the final prayer for us, please.
Okay, I'll do it, Mama.
Thank you, Sir Liza.
To our spiritual benefactors, guardian angels, with our hearts full of gratitude again. We are grateful for the opportunity of being here again tonight, continuing our studies, helping ourselves to understand both worlds, the world and the physical world. Thank you. We ask as we leave here today that we continue to pray for all that we need here and in the spiritual world. We pray for the teachers and mentors who have gone through so much with us, with the patience and love, continuing teaching us and guiding us. We thank you, Lord, for that. But when there is one or two in your name, we know that our Christ will be there. Thank you for allowing us here again. May we continue throughout the week with our studies, with our prayers for those that are in need in this world and in the spirit world. With that in mind, dear Father, we ask permission to close our meeting tonight. So be it.